Hi, it's Jan Beta, and today I'm going to take another look at the Atari 65XE that I've set up here, or the PCB, and the 320K RAM expansion that I built into it that still doesn't quite work correctly. I already made 2 videos about this and tried to figure out why it doesn't work. It does sometimes work, but it's not reliable. So I have the extended RAM test set up here, and I ran the tests and it passed with flying colors. But that doesn't happen every time I run this test. So I'm going to try to figure out what the fault is once and for all, hopefully, in this video. And I've already tried a lot of things, scoped the signals, replaced all the chips that are involved in this mod. You can watch my previous 2 videos if you're interested. I've been in touch with Jürgen, who was the creator of this mod, which is actually, it is a really easy to do mod which uses readily available components for the most parts, uses a little GAL chip as the control logic. You can do this mod on XE boards that are the 130 XE boards, basically, which Atari used for the 65XE later in its life. And it is really relatively easy. You just add a couple of RAM chips and add some logic and make some connections. But yeah, in my case, it doesn't reliably work still. And we're still basically where we left off in the last video, in that this RAM test works for a while, and now you can see it starts throwing errors here and even locks up the machine. There were a lot of helpful comments on the last 2 videos, but I just couldn't take working on this anymore because I spent so much time trying to figure out what's wrong. And then Jürgen commented and told me that actually it might be a problem with the PIA, which is the 6520 over here, which is actually using the port bits to bank switch the new RAM, which is over here. And that might have issues. That's one of the last things that Jürgen could think of, and it's something that I didn't take a look at all previously because I didn't know how the logic switching the banks worked. So I'm going to inspect this and scope the signals to see if something is going on there, maybe. And then probably, even if I can't see anything horribly wrong, I'm just going to socket this chip. And I got a replacement PIA that I'm going to put in the socket, make the connections to our mod here, and see if that helps. Because otherwise, we tried basically everything, I think. We replaced the little logic chip that we have to add here. We replaced the GAL with one that Jürgen sent me that worked in his 65XE. I even replaced the RAM chips with ones that Jürgen used in his 65XE. He basically tried the chips in his system and they worked fine. So there's not much else that can go wrong, I guess, except for an intermittent problem with the PIA. Let's scope some signals while we are running the RAM test, I guess. And let's see if we can see anything weird happening there. Let me take a couple of seconds to thank the sponsor for this video, PCBWay, my favorite manufacturer of prototype PCBs of all kinds. They also do CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication. They can populate your boards for you. You just send them files and they are going to ship you the products in no time. Quality is excellent, pricing is super reasonable. Currently they have their annual Christmas celebrations going on, so you get some amazing discounts on things. I highly recommend checking out the link in the video description. Let's go back to our RAM expansion problem. So the port bits are basically pin 12, which is the one right under this Rockwell logo, to pin 17, which is, I think, the last pin that we connected something to. Yeah, I'm just going to put the scope on these. Port bit 2 should be the most active because that's the lower bit of the 4-bit bank switching number, as Jürgen told me. I have no idea how this works internally still, but yeah, this does the port switching, and if that doesn't work, we are going to have issues, of course, because the RAM cannot be addressed correctly. So I'm just going to fire up my scope and run the RAM tests repeatedly and look at these port bits on the PIA. So the scope is running. Let's run the RAM test. This is port bit 2. Let's see what happens there. That goes high and then low. That's expected behavior. Signal looks a bit noisy, but it should be nothing to worry about too much. And yeah, the RAM test looks good at this point. Everything passes. That's the problem with intermittent faults like this. You don't get the exact same behavior every time. So this is how it's supposed to look, I guess. Goes high, then goes low, very clean. Just on off, basically. TTL level, 5 volts or thereabouts. It all looks decent. So I'm going to run the RAM test until this fails. This passed fine. This is expected behavior. Let's run the test again. And this takes a while, of course. This looks as if... oh, there we are. That's a fail. That passed, that failed. Okay, it seems it's just switching really quickly when it fails. Too quick. What do the transitions look like? I'm just going to put this into single mode, my scope here, and it should, in theory, show me the transitions. Ah, now it starts failing. Okay, let's capture one. Okay, transition looks super clean. There's a very clean step here. Try to capture one of the faults. So these are the ones where it failed. It just switches way too quickly. And it don't even seems to be very consistent in its switching. So the timing is a bit off here. Not sure what that means, but it might be our PIA. So that's our result. This is a part of the normal switching, and then it triggered here and captured a couple of misfires, basically. So yeah, it switches, it just counts way too fast through the RAM. I'm not sure if that's because the RAM test just skips those banks and quickly sets the counter to the next bank. It definitely doesn't count correctly there. The switching looks good though. The signals look super clean, and yeah, as you can see, the transition here is extremely on-off, just very quick. That's exactly how it is supposed to look ideally. So yeah, it's just logic ones and zeros that are very clearly defined. I guess I'm still going to try to replace the PIA, because basically that's the only thing that I can think of, or Jürgen could think of, that could be wrong with this system. And I do have some future plans for this coming up very soon, so I kind of want this to work. It does work as a 65XE, I think. I tried many games and things like that in the standard configuration. I added a little switch here to switch it between the memory expansion and the original memory configuration. And that seems to work fine. The only thing that doesn't work is the expansion. So yeah, I still have a 65XE here, but not the 320XE that I really wanted out of this. So yeah, we're going to try this, and if it fails, it fails. I'm just going to kind of give up on this again for a while if this fails, because I have no ideas anymore. So what I'm going to do is to desolder our PIA, put a nice 40-pin socket in, and try the other PIA, I guess. I think it's a good idea to put a socket in anyway, because we can just connect these wires to the socket instead of the chip. And I think, if I remember correctly, there's a resistor on the back of this chip as well. So that is removed, and that is removed. I'm just going to desolder the resistor here. That is just a voltage supply that goes from the 5 volts supply to the PAA to one of the other pins. Yeah, I'm going to have to add some fresh solder to this. It doesn't really work. It doesn't really take the desoldering too easily. So I'm just going to add a bit of fresh solder to all the pins to see if that helps. Desoldering these ICs is non-trivial. Always kind of a challenge. Yeah, now we're talking. So now I'm just wiggling these a bit and breaking the remaining solder. Ah, okay. It's just angled incorrectly. Yeah, that looks like a nice clean pull. Yeah, I'm just going to clean this up, put a 40-pin socket in there, and then try with the other PIA. And yeah, we can make the connections on the socket actually this time, I think. So I'm going to try to solder to the legs here. Yeah, looks good to me. Just going to measure my little resistor before I put it back in. Should be 3K, 3.1, 3.3. Yeah, it's a 3.3 or 3.1. Yeah, that's our resistor. Yeah, and it also arrives on the socket. And now for our little Kynar wire. I think I'm just going to scrape away some of the socket on the top here, on this side, so I can make contact with the pin there. There's too many components here to get to the legs of the socket, I guess. So, yeah, that wasn't the best idea. I think what I want to do is to just cut some plastic here. Hey, that works rather well. Actually. So I kind of freed my pins. I'm going to add some flux. And I don't mind this looking a bit messy, because it was a messy process. So this is just going to be witness to that. That's on there. Okay, pulling on my wires doesn't remove them anymore. I think I made a connection there. So I guess it's time to add the new chip, which I found on eBay. It's just another Rockwell. Should be the same model. And I think you can also get modern replacements for these. Yeah, this looks like a new old stock chip actually. The legs are still bent outward a bit. So let's see, this should go in here like so. Oh, this is a 6520P. So this is a much newer chip from '95, but it should work fine. These are drop-in replacements. They are still compatible with the old ones, I guess. We're going to find out shortly. Just going to quickly double check if my connections are there. So these, yep. Yep. So my connections on the chip. are reaching the chip. The connections on the socket are reaching the chip as well. So that should be all good. Just a quick check whether this still starts up. Yeah. So my new PIA seems to at least somewhat work. Let's connect the keyboard and start the RAM test again. Back with the keyboard. Okay, testing. It still recognizes the extra RAM. That's good. That's a very good sign. Maybe that was the issue here all along with the PIA. Okay, seems to do things and pass the test. But it did that before, so we don't know. We can't be sure. Oh, this would be great if that was the issue. That would be amazing. Oh. So I guess I'm just going to let this run for a while. Now it seems it passes the test. So that first test passed fine. Let's see if we can repeat this forever and ever, hopefully. Might just be a wonky PAA, we don't know yet. I'm not sure. The readings from the scope, no, it's still the same. Damn it! Why? What's the matter with this thing? I'm not sure what the matter with this Atari is. I replaced everything. All the chips that are somewhat related to the problem, or that could be related to the problem. It's still not reliably working. I'm not sure what that is. I guess I'm just stuck with the 64K Atari. I might try another RAM expansion in this at some point. I am completely out of ideas, and I think so is Jürgen, who helped me along the way to figure this out. This is just a wonky system, and I can't see anything on the scope. Everything looks normal, basically. Everything looks clean, no bad transitions here. I replaced everything, the processor, the RAM, our GAL chip. You've seen me do that in the previous videos. I just wanted to give this a shot because I had the chip lying here for quite a while. So the original one is probably okay. And yeah, it does the exact same thing. It just freezes on some tests, on some runs. And the thing is, we even got some memory expanded demos and things like that to work on this. I started stuff that only works on a 320K Atari previously, and that worked fine for a bit, but some of them didn't work at all. Basically, I'm just out of ideas at this point, so I'm just going to call it a day. I'm sorry this didn't come to any conclusion, but I have plans with this Atari that don't involve the memory expansion. We can still use this as a regular 65XE, and in one of the next videos I'm going to show you a nice add-on for this. Maybe I'll even get another 65XE at some point that I'm going to try to put this memory expansion in, because it is a neat idea. It is all internal, which is super nice. Yeah, you just add the chips to this board, which is basically the 130XE board. Not only basically, it is the same board that they used for both of these machines at some point. And that is super easy to upgrade, really. And this mod is super well thought out. It works for many people. There are other videos about this mod where this works flawlessly, just not on this Atari. And as I said repeatedly now, I'm out of ideas. There must be something wrong intermittently that causes this thing to fail, but I am not the one to figure this out at this point. Maybe I'm going to revisit this again at some point, but not at this time. Yeah, that was a bit underwhelming, I guess. I switched this back to 65K now, or 64K. At least I can use it as a regular Atari 65XE, I guess. We're going to see. Yeah, it works fine, really. It's just the memory expansion that doesn't work. This Atari is fine otherwise. I'm not sure what the problem is. I've tried a lot of things. If you have any ideas after watching my two previous videos and this one, please let me know in the comments. yeah, that's how things go in the vintage computing world sometimes. Especially with systems like this, which I don't fully understand. I'm not that familiar with the Atari architecture, which isn't really that different from the Commodore 64, but still different enough for me to not have a clue. Yeah, so I guess that's it for today. I'm sorry to disappoint. I am quite disappointed myself, but I just had to give this another try. Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Hope you enjoyed this still, even if it wasn't a success. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks to my Patreon supporters and everybody else who supports me on the YouTube channel memberships page or on Ko-fi or on PayPal. The links to that are in the video description. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for your thumbs up or down. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your likes. I already said that. That's the thumbs thing, right? Professional YouTuber at work. Hope to see you again on this channel sometime. I'm Jan Beta. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.